Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is going to be a video covering the TenZ Signature Edition. This is an all-new shape from Pulsar, and it does feel really damn good, especially if you're somebody like me who's falling into the camp of the XM2, the X2H, and the Vaxi Sora. It is very different in its own right from the Pulsar X2H, but one thing I do want to illustrate before we crack into the star of the show, Pulsar is doing great things. We've got Pulsar by You, we've got the new X-Lite ES, the new X2 Mini ES, and of course, we have the new carbon fiber beta test with the X2F. They are a company that is consistently giving us new iterations with upgrades of their current shapes. And now we see that they are coming out with new shapes with the X2F and the TenZ Signature Edition. So I think this is going to fall into a camp that is very nice for a lot of people. First and foremost, this thing feels absolutely fantastic in game. And when you do compare it to the X2H in particular, you're going to feel that the back hump does feel a little bit more higher, more rounded. And as you get from the butt of the mouse to the side of the mouse, you're not going to feel this thumb curve protrude quite as much because these sides don't really feel as though they taper in as much from the thumb curve to mouse 4 and mouse 5. So to me, it's very similar to an X2H, but it feels like a more comfortable, bigger, older brother to the X2H. It's really no different in terms of its overall length, but the main differences are going to be that more rounded butt, a little bit higher butt, and then you feel as though you're a little bit more relaxed leading from the hump to mouse 1 and mouse 2. So really, instead of your hand kind of crunching in as you get over that hump to mouse 1 and mouse 2, you feel a little bit more relaxed in your grip. A lot of people are really going to enjoy that with that back hump, and a lot of people still might favor the very great X2H, which I've had a ton of time on and still have in my top 3 rotation. When we get to something like the Lamzu Inca or the ZA13, the mouse is very different than the ZA13. To me, it doesn't really feel similar at all, and it's really because of the ZA13 or the Inca's very swooped in, very narrow grip width as you get towards mouse 4 and mouse 5. The Inca is 40 grams. The TenZ Signature Edition, my copy with default skates, is 48 grams. So really not all that different in terms of overall weight. And the switches I do give to the TenZ Signature Edition. I think that the feeling of the new Pulsar optical switches do feel fantastic. Now, getting into the main differences again, I do feel that the back hump points out a little bit more on the TenZ Signature Edition in comparison to the Lamzu Inca. I find that the peak of the hump does peak quite a bit sooner, but not too sooner than the Lamzu Inca or ZA13. And then as you get to mouse 1 and mouse 2, it just feels like it flows a little bit better over that hump on the TenZ Signature Edition. Again, most importantly, the difference in that overall grip width, maintaining more width on the TenZ Signature Edition, to me, leading to a much better and more comfortable grip on my ring finger and pinky finger on the right side of the mouse. So to me, the TenZ Signature Edition, the shape, it's really a shape that they've knocked out of the park, but it's going to boil down to whether or not you want the lower, less filling hump on the TenZ, on the X2H, or if you want a higher, more filling, a little bit wider bodied on the TenZ Signature Edition. I absolutely slay on both of these shapes, but playing on the TenZ Signature Edition has been an absolute blast. I think the overall build quality here is superb. Getting into the coating feels fantastic, but it does leave a little bit of residue with your fingerprints or oil stains. Overall, though, it does feel quite silicone-y. It feels a little bit more synthetic feeling, more skin-like, kind of closer to a Viper V3 Signature Edition in black. I think I've read some things about people having concerns with the positioning or size of the side buttons. I've had absolutely no issues at all. You can see my finger actually does rest right in between mouse 4 and mouse 5 and closer to the top side button. So hitting them has been an absolute no issue at all. And the side buttons to me do feel pretty good, but not quite as good as those new Pulsar opticals in mouse 1 and mouse 2. These side buttons do have a bit of post-travel, leading to a bit of kind of air feeling after you press those side buttons, but overall, very minimal pre-travel, very minimal post-travel. Does feel very nice on the TenZ Signature Edition. Scroll wheel, similar encoder to their other mice, I believe. Mouse 3, very spammable. But importantly, I just had very minimal issues on Mouse 1 and Mouse 2. Never felt any side play or switch grind in game. Most importantly, just a bit of pre-travel on Mouse 1 and Mouse 2. Barely any post-travel. So overall, actually feels quite good. Some differences here, you do have a DPI button on the bottom of the mouse, but now you also have a Hertz pulling button on the bottom of the mouse as well, so you don't have to enter the software. If you ever find yourself swapping to another game where you've got issues on 4K or 8K, you can now swap back down to 1K, 2K on the fly without having to open the software. Overall, this shape feels fantastic. The build quality feels fantastic. It is another iteration by Pulsar showing why they are a brand that deserves the attention of the masses. I think a lot of people are going to be using this mouse into the future. I think that if TenZ really did have involvement in the overall shaping of this mouse, I definitely see it. I think he was on the X2H for a while. I know he was on the XM1 for quite a while. It, to me, feels just like a more comfortable and yet still manageably similar in overall grip styles that you can use with this in comparison to the X2H. I know a lot of you guys watching this video are more familiar with something like a G Pro Superlight, so let's give you guys a comparison to the X2H Inca and Superlight side by side. I want to start with the G Pro Superlight and the TenZ Signature Edition. You can see the Superlight does feel as though it is a little bit higher and it maintains more of this vanilla egg feel, whereas the TenZ Signature Edition, you feel like your grip just locks into the sides a little bit more than something like the G Pro Superlight. If you're more vanilla in flavor, you might still prefer the G Pro Superlight. But to me, it just feels like everything is molded more accurately to get your fingers locked into the sides of the mouse on the TenZ Signature Edition. It's obviously two very different shapes. I still love the G Pro Superlight when I want that vanilla kind of like, you know, after a taste testing, they give you that thing to cleanse your palate. That's kind of why I still keep the G Pro Superlight. But overall, again, my thumb feels more locked in as a result of that little curve. That, again, isn't quite as aggressive as the X2H. My fingers just feel perfectly locked in on the right side with my ring finger and pinky finger. And then you have that hump at the peak, and your hand just kind of moderately leads into Mouse 1 and Mouse 2 in comparison, again, to that X2H, leading to, I think, a very, very locked-in feeling on the TenZ Signature Edition. You guys can see it side by side. They are quite different. I'll show you guys again the Inca just so you can see again the differences past that peak of that hump, how the mouse kind of tapers in towards the middle more on the Inca, and how it looks leading up to Mouse 1 and Mouse 2. And most importantly, let me grab the X2H. Again, to me, the mouse is most similar to an X2H. You've just got the primary changes towards the butt of the mouse, the humping a little bit more rounded in this general area on the TenZ Signature Edition. And then my hand, again, feeling a little bit more straight, leading in from this back curve and upwards to the front of the mouse. It's going to feel like a higher, more rounded, more comfortable X2H. It just feels, again, more comfortable past that hump as you lead into Mouse 1 and Mouse 2. So think X2H, but a little bit more comfortable from the back to the front. Whoa, that sounded... Yeah, you guys get it. So guys, that is really it for the TenZ Signature Edition. I think most similar is going to be the X2H Medium. If you're somebody who wants less aggressive, more comfortable, you might prefer the TenZ Signature Edition. If you try the TenZ Signature Edition and you want something a little bit more aggressive feeling, you might want to check out the Pulsar X2H Medium. If you're somebody with really small hands, you might want to just stick to the X2H Mini, but it is worth a try to see how you kind of differ in your overall performance if, let's say, you're maining an X2H Medium. The mouse comes in at 48 grams. Overall build quality has been fantastic. The coating feels great. I really don't have any complaints with respect to the performance, which is top tier for gaming, or the overall build quality. So guys, I hope it helped. If it did, please leave a sub to the channel. See you guys in the next review. Peace.